Hey, good morning guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. This is a video on GVM upgrades. Everything you need to know about GVM upgrades, right? Gross vehicle mass is what, people talk about. I'm gonna get a GVM upgrade, mate. Yeah, mate. Now, it's kind of everything you need to know and nothing you need to know. So I want to be clear here. I'm not an engineer. I'm not Toyota or any other manufacturer. I'm not any of the roads authorities. I'm not Vic Roads or RTA or Queensland Transport. So it's up to all these people to work out what capacity a vehicle's going to be able to safely tow, if you like. Who said it's got anything to do with suspension? Not me. That's not my position on it. Now, just because people go out and change springs and then go and get a GVM upgrade, doesn't mean the springs had anything or much to do with it. So let's just have a think about that, okay? So we're going to use the Toyota Prado for an example again, okay? Most of the Prados over recent years had a 2.5 ton towing capacity, and my position on that is, that's a lot, that's very heavy. Now this is my thoughts. We've owned a few Prados, we've driven a few Prados, we've towed with a few Prados, some of them hundreds of kilometres. I've got to say, I haven't towed more than hundreds of kilometres with a Prado because I don't believe it's the most perfect vehicle for towing large things, if you like. So, I'll give you an example. 500 kilo trailer, this and that, motorbikes or a 6x4, whatever, no problems. Like, it's not even there. Small camper trailer under a ton, similar thing. You start to feel a bit of weight, but no problem whatsoever. So 500 to 1,000 kilos, no problem. 1,000's all right. A little bit over is probably all right. Now, when I've towed approximately 1.5 ton or 1.6, 1.7, these sorts of weights, I find that very heavy. Now, don't get me wrong. Once you get up to speed, the vehicle handles it very well while everything's good. While it's a straight line, when someone didn't cut in front of you, when you're not in wet conditions, when you didn't have to hit the brakes, when you're not on one of those slippery roads, when you haven't got rubbish tyres that are worn out or old, right? So, but to me, that's the maximum. I wouldn't want to be towing any more than that for when things go pear-shaped, okay? That's where safety matters, okay? So they might give you 2.5 ton, 3 ton. I don't give you that. So if you want to ask me, crazy stuff. Now, there's a little saying I'm going to use. I don't know if it's right or not, but what do you prefer? What's normal? The dog wagging the tail or the tail wagging the dog? Let's have a think about that. So when you're towing, in my opinion, you want the tow vehicle to be heavier than what you're towing. So if you've got a Prado that weighs, I don't know, maybe 2.5 ton, like a new Prado, GX drive out, it's probably 2.2, 2.3, somewhere there, put some fuel in it. So it's about 2.4, it's pretty light, 2.4, there you go. That's with your tow bar and half a tank of fuel. You jump in, so you're about 2.5. There, ballpark we're talking, right? And you got your tow bar and you go and hook up your 3 ton boat. So you've got 2.5 ton towing 3 ton. That's going to be the tail wagging the dog. Do you get it? So what you want is, you want a 3.5 ton vehicle. It's not about the power. When they upgrade towing, it's not because they gave the more engine power, the engine more power, there you go, I just said it back. It's not because they gave the power more engine, there you go. No, it's not because they gave the engine more power or whatever, right? Who's assuming what it takes for a GVM upgrade? Who said it was suspension? Who said it was springs or shockers or whatever? We'll get to that. My point is, you want the dog wagging the tail, okay? You want a tow vehicle, let's say, if you're going to tow 2 ton, you want to be towing it with 3 ton. You want your Prado to be 3 ton. The weight is what's going to hold it in place, okay? And the boat or the caravan or whatever it is at 2 ton is going to have a lot less control over the control or the tow vehicle. I know this is totally different in trucks and prime movers. It's a bit crazy. That's why stay out of their way. Really, they should need to be good drivers to be able to do that. And you people in the cars need to, obviously everybody, in fairness, I'm not saying all truck drivers are awesome either, okay? But there's a lot more car motor vehicle drivers, so I suppose that means there's a lot more bad drivers. Stay out of their way. That doesn't mean you in trucks get to go and, tailgate drivers and drive dangerously also because of what they've done. Everybody's got to deal with it the best they can. That's another story. Okay, so Who said it was suspension? Not me. I don't think Dobinson's or Kings or anyone like said that either. And if they did, you got to think about it, because there's the vehicle, there's the weight, there's a whole lot of things, right, that are going to decide what it can tow. How strong is the vehicle? How strong is the chassis? What sort of load can those bearings take? So tyres, wheels, wheel bearings, studs, all the way through the whole driveline, mate. The whole chassis, everything, and the whole balance of the vehicle, because, you know, you need to have 5 to 10%. And, you know, I could be more specific about this, but this is not a how to tow and how to set up your trailer video. This is a who said it was suspension for a GVM upgrade. So people ask me, oh, with this suspension lift, can I get a GVM upgrade now? Sure you can. But without the suspension upgrade, you can probably get a GVM upgrade, right? So you've just got to go to an engineer. It's if they're prepared to look at the vehicle, do their calculations, whatever they're taking into account, and if it's just suspension, I'd suggest that they're either being a bit naive and not really worried about anything else because they just want to charge you $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is. It's all about money, to give you a ticket, to make you happy, to make some money, or a bit naive in thinking that, you know, so what? You've raised the vehicle up 50 mil and that's supposedly safer? No chance, mate. Lower is best, right? Better handling, better center of gravity. Lower is better, okay? So firmer springs are better. So there's a positive we've got going for it. The springs are firmer, but the vehicle's still higher. So in my opinion, changing suspension in a Prado doesn't really increase the tow capacity. If you were to put the same height springs in, but make them a lot firmer, then yes, that's right. Well, that's good for general stability, holding the vehicle firm. The problem you got is, though, it all depends down to your shockers and that, and if they got changed and they're engineered in line with the springs, because when you come to those bumps, say a bit of corrugated road on a bend when the road's wet, and it's because you've got that firm holding suspension that works well in a straight line where you can, you know, swerve a little bit, dodge someone, that works well there, okay? But when you're on that rough road, bada bing, you know, that's where, you know, on those corrugations and that corrugated bit, and it's just going to sort of skip over those corrugations a bit, particularly maybe on a dirt road. So there's a whole lot of different situations where changing suspension could be, you know, positive or negative to a GVM upgrade. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Who said it's suspension? So here we've got, obviously, this is just the old rear springs and the old front springs out of a 150 Prado. Hey, there's one of the green one's one of the Dobinson's heaviest springs. This is, okay, so you've got the lightest one, the stamp, if you like. I'll try and explain just quickly. The lightest one's a bit like a standard spring plus 50 mil. So, you know, same sort of weight, you're going to have a 50 mil lift. Then you've got the medium spring, the most common one, that can take a bit more weight. And then you've really got the heaviest, which is that one right there. Mate, I'm not saying it's going to make any difference around a GVM upgrade just because you put heavier springs in. Let's just pretend for a minute that, yeah, because you've got heavier springs, it handles better, and yeah, that makes it good for a GVM upgrade. What about your tyres? What sort of load do they take? I can answer that question. Generally more than what the rest of the vehicle can take, so that's not a problem. But, you know, these are the things that have got to be looked at. What sort of load can the wheels take? How strong are the wheels? Okay? Then the studs as well. So there's issues with studs if they're not torqued. They've got to be torqued up. 130 Newton meters is the number, thereabouts. They can, if they're left loose, they can come loose one by one. They can come loose all together, which is the better situation because hopefully you'll feel a wobble then and get to stop and tighten them up before the wheel goes flying down the road and kills someone. And if you over tighten them, you stretch the studs and they can eventually break as well. So the big one I asked the question of is the bearing. Now, the bearing's your problem in my opinion. That's what needs to be upgraded because. But then is it a safety issue? No, because the extra weight is going to put more load on the bearing. It's going to wear the bearing. It's not going to last as long. But is it going to go that quickly that it collapses and the wheel falls off? No. So strength of the vehicle? Well, depends how much you want to upgrade it. But we're not talking about massive upgrades here. So really, you don't need anything to get a GVM upgrade. Maybe on paper they've got to show that they've done something to satisfy the change in engineering. So suspension is the one that happens and it's easy enough to do and it makes sense, doesn't it? Because we've just put, 300 kilo load springs in there, so it sounds good. Anyway, whatever. I hope you know where I'm going from. I wouldn't waste my time upgrading the tow capacity of a Prado because it's a Prado. It's a 4-cylinder. It's too much work for a little 4-cylinder engine or any of the other diesels, small diesels like this. This is what it's not. It's, you know, Toyotas aren't a problem. Toyotas are the best. Let me be clear, right? Every vehicle's and engine's got its, you know, pitfalls, problems, positives and negatives, whatever you like. The Toyotas and the Prados are still the best, but they're just 4 and 5-cylinder engines. These small engines, you know, you can't be hauling around massive weights for a long time. Okay. That's why there's a 200 series with a V8, okay? If you can't afford it, well then you can't afford that caravan. Keep it light as possible, and the best advice I can give you is there should be an extra additional license for anyone towing over 750 kilos, and there's not. So for example, you can drive a motor vehicle. To go and get a motorbike, which really you're putting less people at risk, it's mainly yourself, but you've got to go and get an additional license. You can operate a boat, but to operate a PWC, you've got to go get an additional license. There is extra risks there, just quickly, you know, jet skis, they don't have brakes. They don't have a prop in the water. Well, they kind of do, but it doesn't slow down as fast as a boat. But they're both dangerous. They don't have brakes, right? You've got to get a license for those. But you can get a car license. You can just come home and go and get maximum size caravan, hook it on, and away you go without any endorsement or anything additional, which in my opinion is absolute stupidity, especially with 2-3 ton caravans and towing going on behind these vehicles these days. So do yourself a favour if you want to be safe. Don't get a GVA upgrade. Go buy a 200 series and go and do a driver training course that teaches you the basics about how to set up a trailer, understand what's going to happen in certain conditions and how to deal with it, because it's very dangerous. I see it way too often on the roads. I've been nearly wiped out, you know, at least once. The one comes to memory, you know, the one coming the other way, he overtook the truck going fast, he pulled back in too quick because he, of course, that gutless little 4-cylinder didn't get the job done quick enough, which is why it's dangerous as well. And there I am, and we're on a, you know, 1 lane each way, you know, whatever, straight road. I'm ready to dive off into the ditch on the left-hand side of the road because I've literally got this caravan swaying out, blocking my whole lane, smoke coming off the tyres, and I don't know which way it's going to go. Luckily, as I went past when I was about to run off the road, it was swung the other way, to, you know, to the other side of the road. So it was like, you know, in time, it missed me. I was, you know, trying to be ready for anything, but about to get killed. And got past it, looked in the mirror, it was still going, smoke pouring off the tyres. On the UHF, the semis, he was just freaking out. He just couldn't believe it either. We had a bit of a chat. Anyway, that's another story. Hope you enjoyed it. GVM upgrade, whatever, right? Who said it's suspension? There's so many other components to take into account. The manufacturers, it's up to them. Toyota, what's the word? Modest on their towing capacities. They're modest on everything. They do things well. They do it for longevity. They do it to last. Other manufacturers just want to compete. They want to have a bigger number. You've got 2.5. We've got 3. Okay, you've got 3 now. We've got 3.2. You've got 3.3 now. We've got 3. Toyota don't do that. I can't believe they even changed to 3 ton. You want to know what the difference is between the old Prado and the new Prado? Nothing. It's the same car. It's just a different engine and transmission. Power and transmission's got nothing to do with it. It's just they signed it off on the ticket to go, look, all these other guys are doing this, it's costing us sales, so we're going to go 3 ton. We reckon the engineers, what do you reckon? Oh, the engineers are going, I don't know, but you know, okay, but you know. Anyway, and they've just pushed the point. They've got the 3 ton through, you know, through engineering and whatever, but there's no difference. Do you get it? It's like, whatever. Anyway, I hope you get what I mean. If you haven't already, subscribe. Don't forget to turn the bell on so you don't miss the next important information video. Give us a thumbs up if you got something out of it, and always look forward to reading the comments. As I say, I do read the comments, and you may see some answers in the next videos, which is why you got to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. And like I always say, watch the videos till the end and go and watch all the other videos, because the questions you're asking, it's in other videos. All right guys, appreciate your support. Obviously we're still here, business as usual. If you need anything, give us a ring, 0490 261 013. Even better, shoot me a text, because busy, the phone won't even ring if you're not a client. You just need to leave a text message with your name, vehicle, what it's regarding. Put some info there for me. Whereabouts are you? What suburb? Where you're from? What do you want to get done? How long have you owned the car? The kilometres, things like that, so I can go, oh yeah, and get an understanding of the vehicle before I give you a ring, if that's what I choose to do. All right guys, thanks for watching. See ya.